Everybody, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Could you just look up a little bit? Just a little bit. That's it. So, we're all here for storytelling, but to get us all in a good mood, we're going to start with some salawat. Okay? Are you all going to join me? Yeah? Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin Nabiyil Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin Nabiyil Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin Nabiyil Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin Nabiyil Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That's really nice. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? Alhamdulillah. If you can't hear, you just don't be shy. You just let me know. Okay. So before I start, shall we read a Fatiha together? Yeah, let's do that. And then we'll make a start on some stories. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Amen. Okay, thank you so much. So welcome to our storytelling this Sunday afternoon. My name is Jumana. Some of you have seen this morning. You're back for more. And I'd like to say a little bit about the storytelling we're going to do before we start with the stories. So are you, I love stories. I love stories of all kinds. How about you? Are you people who like stories?
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay, I can hear that. Mums, dads, people who like stories?
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. So stories are great. And stories can be entertainment, and stories can be fun, and stories can be funny. Has anyone ever told you a really funny story where you're laughing and crying with how funny something was?
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of stories in the world, but the stories that we're telling today are sacred stories from our tradition, and that's different. Sometimes I go to places and I start to tell a story, if it's in a school or somewhere like that, and the children might say, "Oh miss, I've heard that story before, tell us a new one." And people always want something new. And that's sometimes to do with stories being things that you can buy and sell, but these are different kinds of stories. Some of you might have heard these stories before, There might be new things, there might not be. In sacred storytelling, we come back to the stories and we share them as ibadah. And these are stories from the seerah, from the life of Nabi Muhammad ﷺ. And the more we learn these stories, the more they affect us, and the more these stories will change us. And the more we get to know and love Nabi Muhammad ﷺ through hearing the stories about him. So I have a question. What do you think this is? A chest. You are right. It is, what do you think it's a chest? It's actually, it's like a Moroccan chest, isn't it? A Moroccan, Algerian, African chest. What do you think it's for? What kind of jewelry? Jewelry, yeah. It's a jewelry box, isn't it? And jewelry is usually made of what? Of like gold, silver, jewels. And if you have a very incredibly beautiful, expensive gold necklace, can everyone own it, or can only one person own it?
One person.
You're right. That's it. It has to belong to one person, doesn't it? And they keep it away, and they might lock it up in their chest, in their jewelry box. And what would they say? They'd say it's. And people fight over this kind of thing in the dunya, isn't it? Gold, jewelry. So what I've got in this box is a bit different kind of treasure to that. This is the kind of treasure that the more we share it, the richer everyone gets. SubhanAllah. Its value is not decreased by sharing it. In fact, the very opposite. Everyone can be just as rich as everyone else with this treasure. So what I have in here are things that connect us to the stories of Nabi Muhammad ﷺ. So these stories really, they are our greatest inheritance. Muslims have been telling these stories for over 1400 years, down through the generations. And telling them and sharing them and thinking about them and feeling them will make us all richer. That is guaranteed. You want to see inside? Okay. I'm going to open up the box, and we've got some objects inside. And hopefully we can get through all of them. We might not, which is always, there's so many serious stories, they go on forever. They're like an endless sea. Stories of Nabi Muhammad ﷺ, stories of the Sahaba, the people who Allah chose. It's really so important about the Sahaba, people that Allah chose to be in the life of Nabi Muhammad ﷺ. So we're just going to have a taste. We're going to touch on some really beautiful stories, and we'll see how far we get. So I'm going to ask you, you can start with any story you like. I don't mind. I'm going to ask you to come and choose. Zahra, Fatima Zahra, would you come and choose the first story? Now, it might be that you want to turn, if you could come and stand with your facing people, then they can see what you choose. They always end at every time. SubhanAllah. Can you show everyone what you chose? The spider. I know. Do you know? Can I tell you something? What the spider? You know what it is, isn't it? You probably all know what it is. Let me tell you something. Every single time I do this, people always choose the spider first. I'm sorry if it's a tiny bit creepy. I know some people don't like. But the ankabut is a great friend and a great companion of the Prophet ﷺ. Yes. So you all know what story this is.
Yeah.
And we're going to actually end on this story because this is our Hijrah storytelling. So we're going to end with this story. So we're going to park the ankabut just here. Spider's going to stay here, or not. We'll see, I guess. So I'm going to ask someone to come and choose. So this is our first story, but it's also not our first story. Yeah. So go swimming if you've got your arms on that water as well. So would someone like to come and choose a story? Well, actually, what would you like to come? What's your name? Yeah, I knew you were going to do that. So people, mashallah. So what did you choose here? A camel. Sort of looks a bit like Elmer the camel, doesn't it, huh? You remember Elmer the elephant? Why did you choose this one? Yeah. Oh, mashallah. Well, you're going to love this story in that case. because that's the reason I love this story too. Thank you, Anfa. Take a seat. So, you might have been with me this morning, some of these stories are going to be the same, we might touch on some new ones. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, all kind and merciful. As-salatu was-salam. Ashrafil mursaleen, the prayers and blessings of the very noblest of messengers. After the Hijrah that you'll be hearing about later. And it's a time when Nabi Muhammad, upon him be peace, was on a journey and he was traveling. And he needed to take a rest. And he passed by a palm grove, a grove of palm trees. Now, how many of you have been to Medina? How many of you have been to Medina? I love that. Okay, did you see the palm trees in Medina? Yeah. Inshallah, let's make dua. We will go to Medina again and again and again, inshallah. Yeah, inshallah. So I always thought that the palm trees would just be very, they'd be quite sparse, they'd have their trunks with the trees at the top. When you see Medina, you see that they grow very green and lush out of the ground, don't they? Everywhere, these beautiful, big, feathery palm branches. So we have to imagine it's a very thick palm grove. If you want to, you can help me with that in a minute, actually, those who want to. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to explain. So we have to imagine that Nabi Muhammad has gone into the palm grove. And actually, you could show me, those who want to, you don't have to do it if you don't want. Show me some palm branches. Yeah, we're kind of, and they do grow, they don't just grow straight up, they grow out there like this. Right, and I want you to imagine, now that Nabi Muhammad has come to live in Yathrib and it has become Medina, city of the Prophet. Keep your branches up. That's it. I want you to imagine the sweet breeze of Medina. Can you show me the wind? Through the branches of Medina. That's it. This is the breeze with the fragrance of the beloved of Allah. I love the sound effects. Can we have a bit more? Love that. Well done. So, okay, thank you. So I want you to, here we are. Nabi Muhammad has gone into the palm grove to take a rest. And through the palm trees, there comes a camel. I want you to imagine that a camel makes its way toward Nabi Muhammad . And as the camel approaches the Prophet, upon him be peace, welcome, come sit down. We've just started. We're just in Medina, girls, we've just arrived, we're just in Medina. We're in a palm grove. Nabi Muhammad has gone into a palm grove. And as he's in the palm grove, a camel, who's also in the palm grove, makes its way towards the Prophet, upon him be peace. And as the camel approaches the Prophet, the camel is crying. Making crying sounds. Tears rolling down its face. SubhanAllah. And it makes its way toward the Prophet touching him. Now SubhanAllah, this camel, it's not just random, SubhanAllah, that this camel knows to go to Nabi Muhammad . The camel understands who this is. That this is the very best of creation. This is the beloved of Allah. He understands the truth of Nabi Muhammad is, who Nabi Muhammad is. And the camel goes towards the Prophet, and the Prophet pats the camel on its hump. He seems to spend some time with the camel, listening. And then he turns to the people and says, who does this camel belong to? And one of the young men of the Ansar, one of the people of Medina says, Ya Rasulullah, this camel belongs to me. And the Prophet rebukes the young man of the Ansar, very gently, but he rebukes him. He says, your camel is complaining to me. She says, you have overburdened her. That that's too much today, make her work too hard. And at the same time, you don't provide enough food. This camel is complaining of your mistreatment. And at that, the young man, you can imagine, the Rasulullah, the beloved of Allah, corrects your behavior. Wow, you can imagine, can't you? The young man of the Ansar, he was so deeply moved by this that, well, they say he treated his camel the way he ought to from then on. And it just shows you the care that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has instructed us to give to nature. Think of the amount of times people don't treat their animals well. And this story shows us very clearly we ought to. Okay. I'm going to ask someone to come Tuesday next week. Could you come, my friend? So, if you can stand just facing people, is that okay? Can you come stand next to me? They're well done. And you can show people what you choose. Nothing under there. Oh, lovely. Okay. So can you hold it up to everyone? What is it? It's a moon. It's a moon. That's right. It's a little crescent moon, actually. Thank you so much. It's a little hilal, isn't it? And actually, this story concerns the full moon, but that's a good little moon to put in the box. So I'm going to put that here. And also what we can do is we can line these up so that we can understand the chronology, the order of time they happen. This is a story from Mecca. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Once upon a time, long ago, a man stood on a plain surrounded by mountains. And the mountains were craggy and rocky and ancient and majestic and silent. And the mountains watched on as a very human drama unfolded. And the man stood surrounded by the mountains, and there was also another group of men with him, and the man raised his hand towards the sky and moved his finger. Alayhi salatu wassalam. This was, of course, Nabi Muhammad, upon him be peace, and the men he was with were a group of men from the Quraysh. Now, to understand what was happening, we have to go back a little bit in time. And this was towards the end of the time in Medina before the Hijrah. And you tell me, who were the Quraysh? Do you know who they were? Yes.
When Prophet Muhammad
Was born, right. A clan with a lot of families. Nabi Muhammad ﷺ was part. Some of these people were in his family. But let me ask you a question. Were they happy with what Nabi Muhammad was doing? No, they were not. And did they appreciate what he was teaching? No, they did not. And did they support and help the Muslims who'd come into Islam? Quite the opposite. They persecuted them, they oppressed them, they hurt them. So the Quraysh were not happy. And the Quraysh controlled all the pilgrimage routes into Mecca at the time. Remember, there was the Kaaba, people came to visit the Kaaba, and all the statues, astaghfirullah, gods and goddesses, idols and statues around the Kaaba at the time. Very important to remember that. All those statues were surrounding the Kaaba at that time still. And their anger with Nabi Muhammad ﷺ was increasing with every single day. And we're going to come back to the spider story and hear more about how that came to its zenith, how that manifested. They were angry and they weren't happy with what Muhammad was doing ﷺ. And one day, they tested him, they mocked him, and they taunted him, and they said, if you really are a prophet of Allah, show us a miracle. Do something that will make us believe. And Nabi Muhammad, ﷺ, he said, he really asked them, very seriously, if I do it, with the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if I do it, will you believe? Big question. If you actually see the miracle, will you believe? They said, yeah, of course. And they laughed and they joked. And so, on the next night,
of the what in the sky? The full moon. Yes, right. Nabi Muhammad stands on a plain beside the city of Mecca with a group of men of the Quraysh. The mountains are gathered around watching this unfold. Stony, craggy, ancient, silent, majestic mountains, they're watching on. And Nabi Muhammad والسلام, raises his hand, as you said, towards the moon, the full moon, and he moves his index finger and the moon splits in two. On one side hangs one side of Jabal Qubays and one side the other. Now, do you remember the question Nabi Muhammad asked the Quraysh? If I do it, will you believe? Well, most of them did not. Most of them said, this is nothing but sorcery from the son of Abdullah. He has deceived us. He has conjured something. He has made a trickery in front of our eyes. Most of them, even though they saw it, they did not believe. Even when the caravans of camels, the merchants used to travel through the night to keep cool, even when they arrived in Mecca and said, you know, we saw the strangest thing, the moon hanging either side of Jabal Qubays. Even when they said that, still the Quraysh, they did not believe. Even though they had asked for the miracle, they did not believe. Their hearts were hard, with no room for Iman to flow in. Did you want to say something?
Yeah. Is that why on the moon there's like a little crack?
Yeah, I think we can still see it. Many people say that. Now, this is really important because everything in nature we know is making dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Stars when they shine, the thunder when it rolls across the sky, the leaves as they move in the wind, the waves when they crash on the shore are all calling out, Subhanallah, Subhanallah. And the whole of nature, just like the camel, just like you said, nature understands the truth of who Nabi Muhammad was and is, alayhi salatu wassalam. Sometimes our hearts are veiled, just like, not as badly, astaghfirullah, but the Quraysh's hearts were so hard. Sometimes people now, our hearts are veiled as to the truth, the reality of the beloved of Allah, alayhi salatu wassalam. But not nature. Nature knows. And on that night, the full moon was sailing round and silver, like a huge silver disc across the city of Mecca. And the full moon looked down on the earth. And you know, in Arabic, to say someone is like the full moon is one of the greatest compliments you can give. They're like the Badr, Badr al-Tamam. You meet people called Badriya or Budur. It's a beautiful name. And imagine now the full moon is sailing across the earth, and the full moon feels a sense of, how can I be the full moon in the sky when the full moon walks on the earth? Alayhi salatu wassalam. And through the grace of Allah and for the love of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, the moon cracks in two. And just like you said, if you watch the moon on a full moon night, when the sky is bathed in moonlight, you can still see the crack where the moon split into. And if you listen deeply, not with your ears, but with your heart, you will still hear the dhikr of the moonlight as it tumbles onto the earth.
Isn't Badr one of the names of the Prophet?
It is one of the names of the Prophet ﷺ. And so in honor of this extraordinary event and miracle and story and heart-opening event, Sidi is going to lead us in a qasida that really honors this event. Would you like to come? Thank you, Sidi. So do join in, everyone. Don't be shy.
You ready to sing? Who's heard of Tom? Okay. Do you all know the chorus? I'm going to have you sing it together. Ready? قمر سيدنا النبي قمر وجميل وجميل سيدنا النبي وجميل قمرون قمرون قمر سيدنا النبي قمرون وجميل 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 سيدنا النبي وجميل وأجمل منك لم قط عيني الله الله وأطيب منك لم تلد النساء الله الله وأجمل منك لم قط عيني الله الله وأطيب منك لم تلد النساء الله خلقت مبرعا من كل عيب خلقت مبرعا من كل عيب خلقت مبرعا من كل عيب كأنك قد خلقت كما تشاء قمرون قمرون قمر سيدنا النبي قمرون وجميل 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 سيدنا النبي وجميل.
Jazakallah khairan, Sidi. Thank you so much. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik alayhi wa alihi. Like a moon. Oh, that qasida says like a moon. Sayyidina Nabi is like a moon. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Beautiful singing. Thank you very much. Okay, so we've got this story from Mecca, and we've got this story from Medina. And who would like to come and choose? Could you come and choose the next story for me? Thank you very much. You're not sure? Oh, that one. That's a nice story. Okay, thank you so much. It is a tiny shoe. So it does belong to my daughter when she was very small, about your age actually. Yeah, tiny little shoe. So this is a story that the Prophet ﷺ used to tell the companions. Whether he used to tell it in Mecca or Medina, astaghfirullah, I'm not sure, but this is a story that he used to relate, ﷺ, to the Sahaba. And remember, the Sahaba are people who Allah chose. May Allah be pleased with them all, who Allah chose to be in the life of the Prophet ﷺ. Okay. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The Prophet ﷺ used to relate that one day a man was walking down a road on a hot day. And we've had some hot days recently, haven't we? But think 10 times hotter. Such a hot day, and the sun was blazing overhead. Oh, don't eat that little moon, my friend. Just a little pause, sorry. Yeah, I'll put that in my pocket for now, just to be safe. So where were we? Where were we in the story? Do you remember? A man is walking down the road. Is it hot or is it cold? Scorching hot. Love that. Nice word. It's scorching hot. It's blazing hot. The heat is pounding on his head. He feels a terrible thirst. And this is really important on so many levels, because when we feel thirsty, it's so easy for us to turn on the tap, isn't it? We probably don't even think about it much. And there are many people who are struggling to get water. So this story is about intense thirst. This story is about intense thirst, and the man is walking down the road. And imagine, maybe he turns, maybe something comes into his view, he sees a well. Or the relief that his thirst will be quenched, because to be terribly thirsty is a terrible thing. So he goes to the well, he's so happy. He can see the water at the bottom, but he can't see a bucket. He can't see a rope. Nothing. But his thirst can drive you almost insane. It's a terrible thing. So he thinks to himself, I have to get to the water. And so he starts, and those who wish to, could try this out, act it out with me. He climbs down into the well. Maybe it hasn't got smooth sides. Maybe there's bits of stone sticking out. Must have been. So he climbs down into the well. And watch where you're putting your feet. Watch where you're putting your hands. He climbs all the way down to the bottom of the well, where there's clear, cool, beautiful water, mashallah. Just like Sayyida Hajar, alayhi salam, when she finds the well of Zamzam, cool water in a desert, just like when Allah tells us, what will you do if your water runs dry? That's life, it's everything. So he gets the water and he scoops it with his hands and he drinks it. Oh, it's so cool and refreshing. And when he's full, he climbs up once again. Are you ready? Okay, let's go. He climbs up. Watch where you're putting your feet. Watch where you're putting your hands. Hold on. He gets to the top of the well. Thank you. He gets to the top of the well. Yeah. And there beside the well is a dog. But the dog is not standing and walking. The dog is collapsed on the ground, very, very thirsty. And when dogs are very thirsty, or many animals actually, they pant like this. Their breathing goes very fast. Tongue, the poor creature's tongue was lolling out of its mouth, hanging out of its mouth. It was parched. And the man is struck with a tremendous compassion for this animal. And this rahmah, Allah is ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Sometimes Allah gives just a drop of His rahmah to us as human beings. And Allah gave the man some of His rahmah, and the man felt so much compassion for this dog. He said, is this creature not a khalq of Allah? Is this creature not a creation of Allah just like me? Didn't I know thirst just a few minutes before? He thinks, I'm going to bring water to this dog. I'm going to quench its thirst. He hasn't got anything. And then he has an idea, but he has to climb back down the well. So back down he goes, back down the well. He gets to the bottom of the well. He takes off his shoe. Now, I don't think it was blue and sparkly like this. It's unlikely. Maybe, but I think maybe it was made of leather. So maybe it had a tan, sort of a bit like your bag, a sort of tan color to it. And he fills his shoe with the water. And somehow, Allahu alam how, he climbs back up the well. Now, for the fourth time, he's making this journey up and down the well. He climbs back to the top of the well, somehow holding this shoe full of water, and he gives it to the dog to drink. He saves that dog. He quenches its thirst. He gives the dog water. Subhanallah. And when Nabi Muhammad ﷺ used to tell this story, he would say that there is this tremendous barakah in giving water and showing compassion to any khalq of Allah. And now the companions asked a question, and I think it's a really important question because we know, that the saliva of the dog can have najasa. We know this. And sometimes we avoid them. But listen to this question and the answer because it's really, really, subhanAllah, the compassion in this. The Sahaba said, Ya Rasulullah, even to a dog? Rasulullah ﷺ replied, yes. Even to a dog, to any khalq of Allah, to any of Allah's creation. When we show that mercy, we will get the reward and the thawab. So subhanallah, there are so many things to think about, that we love Allah, like we are desperate for this cool water, that we love the Prophet ﷺ, that we need him. And also that we show this compassion across the world, and it makes me think of people who are struggling to have anything to drink in Gaza. So Allah may Allah keep this water flowing, and may Allah keep all of His people, all of His ummah quenched and well cared for, inshallah. Did you want to say something? No. Okay. Who is going to come and choose the next story? Would you like to come, my friend? Catalina Island t-shirt. What's your name? Zainab, mashallah. Beautiful name. Oh, I'm so glad you chose that one, yes. What have we got here?
Cotton wool.
Cotton wool, yes, thank you. Why did you choose that one? Because it was fluffy. That's great, that's kind of what I wanted. And you can see in this story why I chose it. I'm going to come to it in a minute. Something fluffy. Okay. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. There still stands now on a plain in Jordan a tree. We're back to our nature, aren't we? Huh? And it's an incredible tree, Bismillah. On a plain in Jordan, there stands a tree. There's nothing around this tree. Nothing there. Just this very old tree. Some people say it's around 1,500 years old. It has a really thick trunk. And the trunk is all rough and furrowed. It's not smooth. And the branches grow this way outwards and they grow upwards, and the crown of the tree is very thick, and the leaves are small and almond shaped and green and waxy. It's a beautiful tree. And now we're going to go back in time and hear a little bit more about this tree. Can we come back to that in a minute? Is that okay? Thank you. Bismillah. When Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam was a young man, before the days of Nubuwwah, before the revelation, in the cave of Hijrah, he worked for his uncle Abi Talib, and he was a merchant. And he used to make the long journey to the north, to Syria, on the road from Mecca, with a caravan of camels with goods to trade and sell. Now in Syria, in a place called Busra, there was a monk, a Christian monk. His name was Bahira, and he lived in a tiny cell. That means that just one room built of stone or clay. And you know, in this little hermit cell, there was always a monk who lived there, a Christian monk. They took up residence there, and when one passed or became too old, then another would come to live there. And at this time, in this particular story, the monk's name was Bahira, and he used to study his texts. He used to read and read and read, and he found in the texts word of a prophet who would come to the Arabs. And he would read about this, and he had a feeling, he felt sure that it would come in his lifetime. And he just had a feeling that maybe he would live to see this prophet that would be sent to the Arabs. And so he took to watching. He would watch, he would see so many people coming one way, going the other way, arriving in Busra, and he would watch. Maybe I will see the person of such a high spiritual station that they are a prophet, the person I am reading about in my texts. And so he watched, and he read, and he read, and he watched. One day, a caravan came into Busra, camels tied together with rope, being led by a herder, loaded with goods of all kinds. And Bahira the monk was very observant, and he noticed something. As the caravan approached, he saw there was a cloud above the caravan. And when the caravan moved, the cloud moved. And when the caravan stopped, the cloud stopped. And Bahira thought, what's happening? And he looked again, and he could see that the cloud, the ghamama, was casting a shade over a particular place, always the same place, in the caravan. And his heart leapt with a joy and an excitement as he thought, this is a sign of a very special person. This is a sign of someone with a high spiritual station. The cloud is sheltering them and shielding them from the hot sun. He watched even more closely, and there was someone else who was watching too. A tree. A tree watched, and the tree watched until a young man left the caravan and came to sit in the shade of that tree, and the tree leant forward to cast its deep shade over him as the young man leant his back against that tree. Of course, this was Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam as a young man. When Bahira the monk saw this, he saw the shading of the tree as well as the shading of the cloud, the ghamama. He felt certain this was the prophet of whom he had been reading. And he went to speak with him, and he went to speak with Abi Talib, and he invited them into that simple monk cell. They came and sat and they spoke. And Bahira even saw the sign on his back, the sign on his blessed back, alayhi salatu wassalam, of prophethood. Take care of him, said Bahira. Watch him, keep him safe. And Bahira knew then that there were great things to come for this young man. Great, great things. Now the ghamama, you know what clouds do. They shed their raindrops. The raindrops join rivers and seas. They evaporate. They become raindrops again. The rain is circulating. Maybe that ghamama is somewhere in the sky today. Who knows? It's traveled on its way. But the tree, they say, still stands on the plain in Jordan in a place called Safawi, I think, and you can visit this tree. Some of you may have visited it. Have you been to see it? MashaAllah. He went to see the Sahaba tree. They call it the Sahaba tree, the oldest living Sahaba. Can you imagine? The oldest living being who actually still got to be with the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet leant and rested against its trunk, ﷺ. Still growing, still casting shade upon the earth, still allowing us to visit and feel that blessed presence. ﷺ. The Sahaba tree. Okay. Let's have one more story. Maybe we'll take a little break. Could I ask you, I'm sorry we can't all come and take them. Why can't you come and choose the next story? Oh, we've gone down in stories. There's two there. Aha. You've got a stone. You like stones? It's interesting. I like that. You're right. It is interesting. Thank you, my dear. Please. I like that. It's an interesting stone. And actually, it is an interesting story. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This story takes us right to the beginning in Mecca. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. To the north of Mecca, there's a valley. And you heard a bit about the mountains around Mecca. They are so rocky and craggy. And actually, this isn't quite the color of the stones around Mecca. The stones, they're the sort of a bit ochre colored, a bit orangey, a bit dark, a bit cream colored. There's a rocky valley there, full of caves. And you know, of course, that the month of Ramadan was something that was practiced by the Arabs for a long time before Islam. And it was Nabi Muhammad's practice before he became a prophet to go into one of these caves in this valley and meditate in silence and reflection, often during the month of Ramadan. Now in this particular year, this is the year that Muhammad, son of Abdullah, he turns 40. He's married to Khadija. They have children. He's a merchant, he's working hard. People know him and like him, and they know him by what particular name? Do you remember? What name do they know Muhammad, son of Abdullah, by, even before he's a prophet? Do you remember? Al-Amin, the trustworthy one. A beautiful name, Al-Amin, the trustworthy one. When he arrives at places, people are relieved. Al-Amin is here. He will give us a good decision and a good word. Trustworthy merchant, he makes people like him and they want to do business with him. Alhamdulillah, because he's so honest. Muhammad now, alayhi salatu wasalam, he's taking time out of his work. And he's taking this tradition of, during the month of Ramadan, going up into the caves of the valley. And he chooses one cave. He goes to a cave known as the cave of Hijrah. And you might have done this journey, subhanAllah. I did it the last time I went to Mecca. You can climb still now that winding path up to the cave of Hijrah. It's a tough climb. But Muhammad would climb up and he would meditate and reflect and pray inside the cave of Hijrah. And Sayyida Khadija, even when she was pregnant, she would make that long walk from Mecca, extraordinary, in the heat, and climb the path up to the cave of Hira. It takes a good 40 minutes. Still, she would do that to bring Nabi Muhammad ﷺ food and drink and support him in the cave as he reflected deeply, prayed deeply. in the cave of Hira. Nabi Muhammad, by the point we join him in this story, has been in the cave of Hira for the whole of Ramadan. It's the 27th night. And as he's meditating and reflecting and praying, it's silent in the valley. Outside, just silence and sky. Inside the cave, just the stone and his own presence. Suddenly, the cave is filled with the most brilliant light, the most extraordinary light. And Muhammad, والسلام, he knows he's in the presence of an angel. The light is so beautiful. He's almost so brilliant. You or I, we might be completely blinded by it. He knows he's in the presence of an angel. And it's Angel Jibreel, alayhi salam. He stands before Nabi Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, just dripping and blazing glory. And the angel Jibreel utters one word. He says, Iqra, read, proclaim. And Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the awe of this situation, he says, I am not one who reads, I am not one who proclaims. The fuller meaning of Iqra, the one who proclaims. Jibreel, alayhi salam, he catches hold of Nabi Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he squeezes him so tightly, and he releases him. And he says again, Iqra. Muhammad alayhi salam, I am not one who reads, I am not one who proclaims. Jibreel asks again 3 times. Nabi Muhammad, he just says again, I am not one who reads, I am not one who proclaims, until Jibreel holds him so tightly, as if something in his heart cracks open, alayhi salatu wasalam, and he can finally utter the words that the angel, alayhi salam, has been sent to teach him. You know what these words are? Iqra. Iqra bismi rabbika. The very first ayah of the Quran. Now when Muhammad, upon him be peace, has spoken these very first words of the revelation that would come now over the next 23 years of his life. Those years in Mecca followed by the years in Medina, 23 years. When he uttered those words, the angel had come to teach him, alayhi salatu wassalam. Jibreel disappeared. That brilliant, beautiful, exquisite, blazing, glorious light was gone. And Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam was once more alone in the cave of Hira, surrounded by stone. And only his own presence, and outside the cave of Hira, surrounded by the sky and the rock of the valley. Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, he's shaken with the awe of what's happened. And he returns back down that winding, stony track of what we now know as Jabal Nur, the mountain of light, back all the way to Mecca and back home to Khadija. And when he gets into his house, he says, Zamiluni, dathiruni, wrap me, envelop me, shaking with the awe of what has happened. And Khadija, may Allah be pleased with her, takes his cloak and she puts it around his shoulders and wraps him, soothes him, comforts him, reassures him. And this is when we learn the beautiful name of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, Muzammal. Muzammal, the one who is wrapped up. It's a surah of the Quran as well. Muzammal, the one who is wrapped up. Wrapped up in the care and concern and loyalty of Sayyidah Khadija, may Allah be pleased with her. And also in the nubuwah, the prophethood that Allah has sent him, alayhi salatu wassalam. Now Khadija speaks. May Allah be pleased with her. And she tells him, Allah has honored you with this. You are Al-Amin. You would not lie. You would not be deceived. You're not crazy. This is your mission and your journey from Allah. And it's at that point that Sayyidah Khadija, she becomes the very first person to accept the prophethood and the mission of Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. And then look, the first of so many to come. All the people that came after right until now, and all of us. Subhanallah. So if you ever go, when you go back to Mecca, inshallah, just make dua that we all go back, and make dua that those who need to do Hajj can accomplish Hajj, inshallah, and those who yearn to see the Bayt of Allah, that we get to see it, inshallah. And those who are struggling in any country where there's suffering and hardship, it's made easy for them to go. May we help them to go, inshallah. And that you get to see Jabal Nur and you get to climb Jabal Nur, inshallah. So this is the story of the stone and the cave of Hira. I think maybe we take a small break and then we will finish with the spider, who came out of the box first. Yeah? Inshallah. Bismillah. Let's take a small break and then we'll come back, inshallah.
Inshallah, help yourselves to drinks and refreshments at the back.
get our singing voices out. We're all just singing together. Everybody ready for this? Okay. So I want you all to join in with me. It's going to be really easy what we're going to sing. Okay? لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله إلا الله محمد رسول الله. Then what we're going to do, we're going to practice the border, and then we're going to see if we can get the room split into two singing together. So the border, who knows the chorus of the border? Yes, we'll sing it together twice so everybody's familiar. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي
صل وسلم دائما أبدا
على حبيبك خير الخلق
كلهم.
Okay, now we're going to split the room. So, everybody on this side, and you on this side. You need to be on this side with a loud voice. Okay, so we're going to sing. If you're on this side on the left, you're going to sing the border. Mawlaya Sal. And if you're on this side, you're going to sing La ilaha illallah. Everybody clear? Yeah. Okay, we're going to start with this side first, my left. And we're going to see who's the loudest as well. The parents will decide who's the loudest. Okay, so this side, you're going to sing the border.
مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك
And on this side, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasul. This side,
مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك
this side, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. Everybody, مولاي
صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك محمد رسول الله.
What do you think? Who was the winners there? This side. Okay, we'll give it one more try. But this side is really loud. Shall we try it again? Okay, let me see. Hamud, you're on this side now. Hassan, you're on this side as well. Okay? You don't have to move. Okay. Are we ready? Everybody together. So you're going to be doing the border, and this side you're going to be doing La ilaha illallah. Ready? Go. La
مولاي وسلم.
No, this side you're singing the border. Everyone this side is singing the border. Everyone this side is means La ilaha illallah. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم.
Okay. I'm going to change just to say was it a draw there? Yeah. I think that was a draw. I think Hassan made the difference.
I think that might have been it. Thank you, Sidi. Thank you so much. Come. Jazakallah khairan. Sidi, thank you so much. Wow, that was incredible singing. Huh? Very loud. MashaAllah. You feel good? You feel relaxed? Okay. So we are going to visit one more shortish story before we come on to our Hijrah story. So we've got one more story in here. Would you like to come and get it out for me, my friend? Yes, please. Yes. I'm sorry that you haven't actually got much of a choice, but you can open the box and take the story out for us. And that's it right there. Here. Can you show it to people? A palm tree. Thank you so much. What's your name? Hamza. Thank you so much, mashallah. Thank you. So we visited the palm trees of Medina already, but this is a really particular story about Medina and the palm trees. So we're sort of doing this slightly the other way around because this is a story about what happened after the Prophet ﷺ arrived in Medina. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Nabi Muhammad ﷺ and Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, have arrived in the city of Yathrib. And there's a story as to what happened when that happened, but we're going to come to that. But first of all, we're going to think about them arriving in the streets of Yathrib. Yathrib, or Medina, is so much greener than Mecca. We spoke about that. And as they ride through the streets, the Prophet ﷺ is riding his camel. What's her name? Who remembers? Yes, Qaswa. Qaswa, she's cream coloured, like the colour of the skin of my duff. And they're riding slowly through the streets of Yathrib. And as they ride through the streets of Yathrib, the people of the city begin to call out to the Prophet ﷺ, Ya Rasulallah, they say, come and stay with us. And Bani Najjar, who are from the family of the Prophet's mother, may Allah be pleased with her, call out, Ya Rasulallah, come and live with us. And Nabi Muhammad ﷺ, he acknowledges them graciously. And then he does something extraordinary and he drops Qaswa's reins. And he lets her find her way, guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through the streets of Yathrib. Qaswa arrives at a place, a piece of land with a tumbled down building and a few old palm trees on it. She turns in and she begins to walk around that piece of land, and then she folds up her legs the way camels do. I don't know if you've seen them do it, it's beautiful. She folds up her legs, she sits almost to the ground, then she stands up again. She walks around once more before settling down, still, as if to say, we have arrived, we are home. Now the Prophet ﷺ learns that this piece of land belongs to two orphans. And when they hear that he's interested in the land, ﷺ, they want to gift it to him. But he, ﷺ, he says, no, I will only buy it from you. I will only give you the money for it. That's what's fair. So he, ﷺ, he buys this piece of land, and the work begins pretty much straight away. On the very first masjid in that new community and the simple homes for the Prophet and his blessed family. They say that masjid was built from palm trees, split palm trunks, with the roof of dried palm branches, and the rest of it open to the blue sky and the sunshine. You may have visited Masjid al-Nabawi. Inshallah, we'll get to go back and back and back. It's beautiful now. Oh, marble and the sliding roof and the green and it's huge. And the beautiful, cool, parasols and fans. I want you to try and imagine it in those first early ayyam, inshallah, those first early days. Because this is when Yathrib was no longer Yathrib, and this is when Tayyibah was no longer Tayyibah. This is when that place became Medina city, Medina al-Nabi, city of the Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam. Medina al-Munawwara, city enlightened, radiant, lit up by the presence of the Beloved, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Just his presence changed everything, alayhi salatu wasalam. And there are many beautiful masajid in the world. We have some beautiful mosques, even in England. We have some beautiful ones. We have the Blue Mosque of Isfahan, and we have the incredible mosques of Timbuktu, of Jenne, built of earth, topped with ostrich eggs. And we have the masajid of Turkey and Qahira, and amazing places. But can any of us imagine a more beautiful place than that first masjid? Behind that imam, pray behind him, alayhi salatu wassalam. So the community grows. And the community of both the muhajirun, the people who came from Mecca, and those from Medina, they've come together, and the first community is formed, and they listen, they drink up the words of the Beloved, alayhi salatu wassalam. And when the Prophet, upon him be peace, he speaks to the people, he often leans against one of those old, dried up palm trunks. And the community say to him, Ya Rasulullah, we should like to build you a minbar. A minbar is like a wooden lectern or a stand that people speak at. And the Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam, always gracious, accepts their gift. I don't know how long it takes to build, maybe a little while, I don't know, a few days. Or when it's ready, the people of Medina bring it into that masjid and they place it there. And when the Prophet ﷺ, he comes into the masjid, he walks past the old palm stump and he goes to the minbar to speak. And he starts giving his khutbah, he starts speaking to the people ﷺ. And as he's speaking, a cry of such tremendous sorrow and pain rips through the air, as if the air itself was ripped in half. And the people look around in shock. Is somebody hurt? Has a person been hurt? An animal been hurt? Where is this crying coming from? The crying rises higher and higher through the ceiling of the dried palm branches, up through that clear air, up to the clear blue sky. The weeping as if somebody's heart is broken with the most sorrow you can ever imagine. And the companions, as they turn, they realize that the weeping is coming from the palm trunk. And they turn to look at it, and some narrations say the palm trunk is shaking to the point that little splinters of wood are coming off it. And that sound, that weeping, that incredible sorrow, that incredible heartbreak, it echoes through the companions gathered there. May Allah be pleased with them. It echoes through their minds and their bodies, and it echoes through their bones, and through their bones into their hearts and deep into their souls. And they think if this dried up old palm stump can weep because it has lost closeness to Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, what about us? What about us and our love of the Prophet? Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, he takes a few steps towards the palm trunk and the crying begins to drop. He places his hand on the palm stump and the crying drops. Further still, he embraces the palm tree, that dried up stump, and the crying drops into silence like a child soothed back to sleep. And the Prophet told the companions, may Allah be pleased with them all, she weeps, the nakhla, the palm tree weeps, for the knowledge she feared she had lost. With that loss of closeness to the Prophet ﷺ, she feared she had lost this knowledge. And he said, ﷺ, that had I not comforted her, she would have wept until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Some say that that palm stump was buried in the blessed earth of Medina, and that Allah has resurrected the palm tree once again green and verdant and luscious and beautiful. But perhaps the palm stump, dried and old, was already beautiful still. Huh? Well, news of this miracle spread through the streets of Medina like a fine and fragrant perfume. The news of the story has travelled in and out of the years and across the seas until it's reached us here to share it together. But now we're going to go back in time just a little bit more to find out about this blessed and extraordinary journey that brought Nabi Muhammad والسلام, on Qaswa and Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, to the city of Yathrib. It was an ordinary day in the city of Mecca. The Kaaba stood as it stands now, except a big difference, and this is really important to remember. We're so used to seeing the Kaaba with the pilgrims making tawaf, but at the time of this story, the Kaaba stood, but there were still idols and statues of all the other false gods and goddesses that the people worshipped spread all around the haram, all around the sanctuary. And on this particular day, many people in Mecca were going about their business as usual. The pilgrims were coming, there was buying and selling, and ordinary day in the city, until it became very unordinary. And let me tell you what happened. A group of men had gathered, and these were the men from the Quraysh. And we've heard a bit about the Quraysh already, haven't we? And now, this is after the story of the split moon. And Nabi Muhammad والسلام, is still preaching and still teaching. And do you think the Quraysh have got any happier with this message? They've got angrier and angrier and angrier. Many of the Muslims are persecuted. Many have had to already make the first Hijrah to Abyssinia. People are persecuted to the point of being killed. It's very serious. The Quraysh are saying, he threatens everything. He threatens our business. He threatens our trade. He threatens our reputation. He doesn't respect our traditions. They are filled with a terrible, astaghfirullah, terrible hatred of the Prophet ﷺ. And as they're in that room is filled with tension like flecks of electricity. The tension is building and building and building like sharp little knives until one voice cuts through it all. And one voice says clearly and loudly, let's kill him. Can you imagine? And the others, instead of being horrified and rejecting this, the heads in that room begin to nod. Yes, let's kill him. Let's kill him. See, the beauty that can be achieved when people unite for khair. But look at this. They united for wickedness on another level. And then it got worse, if it could. They said, if one of us does it, they will be able to ask us for the blood price, and they will accuse the person and the family they're from. What if we put together a group of strong young men and we all attack him? Not even one against one, a whole group. And then no one will know who finally killed him, who dealt the blow that killed him, and no one has the strength to blame the whole of the Quraysh, the united families, for killing Muhammad, the son of Abdullah. This is what they said. And they all agreed. They had several opportunities to say no, but they did not. We learned before their hearts had been hardened, and they hardened further still to the point of this grievous crime. So the Quraysh plotted and planned, but Allah plans better. Jibreel alayhi salam came to Nabi Muhammad with the news that it was time to leave Mecca. Other Muslims had made the journey to Yathrib. Small community was starting to be established there. Musab had gone to teach the people there. That's another story for another day, but he had gone to begin teaching the people. And Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, he loved Mecca as a place. It wasn't easy to leave. It wasn't easy to leave at all, but he realized the day had come, that it was time to leave. That night, an agreement was made in the home of Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Sayyidina Ali wrapped himself in the Prophet's green Yemeni shawl and he lay down on the Prophet's bed, his head covered. You see, the Quraysh, they had a sort of code for themselves. Even though they were going to do something so terrible, they had a code for themselves that it would not be right to burst into the home, and so they were going to wait until Nabi Muhammad came out. And all through the night, they peeped through a tiny window and they saw who they thought was Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, but who was in fact Sayyidina Ali. May Allah be pleased with him, wrapped and asleep on the bed. Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, as the people were standing outside the house, the Quraysh, he stood up and he walked out of that house and he walked straight past the group of gathered assassins of the Quraysh. Do you remember in the story of the split moon, we said their hearts were sealed? On that night, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala covered their eyes just as their hearts were covered. And Habib Allah, the beloved of Allah, alayhi salatu wasalam, walked straight past the assassins of the Quraysh. Just walked right past them. And their eyes were covered, they did not see him. And he made his way to the house of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. May Allah be pleased with him. They say his name comes from when Abu Bakr believed the Prophet ﷺ had made his night journey. They said Abu Bakr said, if Muhammad ﷺ says it is true, then it is true. And they also say that with one gaze from the Prophet ﷺ, Abu Bakr became Siddiq. Just one gaze, alayhi salatu wassalam. So here is the close friend of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. And together, they leave Mecca. They leave their homes. And they head not to the north. Tayyibah, Yathrib lies to the north of Mecca. And they don't go to the north. Instead, they go to the south. And they go to a valley, another valley full of rocky caves. There was Hira in the north, and now they go to the south and they go to a cave known as the Cave of Thawr, and there they seek sanctuary. They know the Quraysh will begin looking for them. They don't have long. Now when the sun rises, when dawn comes, and finally the Quraysh realize that this is Sayyidina Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, this is not Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, they fly into the most tremendous rage. They are furious that Muhammad, son of Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, has escaped them. And they put a reward on his head, bring him back to us. It's got really serious now. And they search everywhere for him. First of all, they search to the north, all the roads to the north. They think maybe he will go to Yathrib, to Tayyibah. They search, they don't find him. They send fast horses to try and catch him up. They do not find him. And the Quraysh are many things. They're many things. They are greedy and violent and aggressive. They're many, many things, but what they are not is stupid. So on the third day, they begin to search the south, and their search begins to encompass that rocky valley and the cave. When Nabi Muhammad ﷺ and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu are seeking sanctuary. Nabi Muhammad, upon him be peace, and Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, they begin to hear the voices of the men of the Quraysh approaching. They hear their voices, they hear them calling, they hear their footsteps, they hear any loose stones rolling and scuttling down the slopes of that rocky hill as they make their way up towards the cave to search all the caves of the valley, and they make their way to the Cave of Thawr, and Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, he prays. And he says, do not be afraid, Allah is with us. And even at this point, a little scorpion, a creature, bites Abu Bakr's finger. May Allah be pleased with him. He keeps absolutely silent. And they hear the voices of the men of the Quraysh right outside the cave. But then they hear something extraordinary, and the cave seems a little darker than it had been that morning. And they hear the men of the Quraysh saying, "Oh, it's obvious that no one has been in or out of this cave for a long time. Let's go and search elsewhere." And then the sounds of their voices, the sounds of their footsteps, the sound of their anger and hatred dissolve and fade away. Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam and Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, when there's once more silence in the valley, they go to the cave mouth and they see that a little spider has spun her web over the mouth of the cave, securing it like a lock and key. And they see that two rock doves, two birds, have built their nest on the threshold of the cave where you would step to go in or out. They've built a big nest and they're sitting there, cooing gently as if sitting on eggs. And some say a tree grew its branch across the way to bar it. Now the Quraysh were the most powerful people in the whole of the Hijaz, the whole of that area. They had everything, money, horses, weapons, strong fighting men, they had everything. So I want you to imagine and I want you to think about this now because it's so important. The Seerah reflects our lives all the time. Imagine all the wealth and all the might and all the rage and all the hatred of the Quraysh undone by one little spider and two gentle doves. Everything the Quraysh had was no match for those small but powerful friends. Now when the evening came, the son of Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, Abdullah, arrived with 2 camels and a guide, a Bedouin guide. Now the Bedouins were sons of the desert. They moved their tents and their flocks across the desert. They knew every little twisting pathway better than the people of the city. And he was going to take them on this journey. They gently move the cobweb. They come down, they take their camels, they bid farewell to Abdullah. And Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, he bids farewell to Mecca. He doesn't know when and how and if he'll return. This is his hijrah, his emigration. And they set off. Now the Bedouin guide, he takes them not to the north and not to the east, which would be the direct route to Tayyibah, to Yathrib. He takes them instead to the west, towards the coast of the sea. And they travel up the sea coast before turning inland. The Bedouin guide thinks this is the best way of avoiding the spies and the search of the Quraysh. Now usually this journey from Mecca to Yathrib takes maybe 3-4 days. But when Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam makes his hijrah, it takes more like 12 to avoid the searches and the spies of the Quraysh. It's a long and hot journey, a difficult journey, very difficult journey. They pass by several places. They pass by an old Bedouin woman called Ma'bad, and that's another beautiful story of what happens there. Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam leaves behind, after his meeting with Ma'bad, a beautiful basin, a bowl full of pure milk. And Ma'bad tells her husband how she met a blessed man. Blessed man, alayhi salatu wasalam. Now as they're making their way now towards Yathrib, towards Tayyibah, which will become Medina, they meet Abu Bakr's cousin who's coming back from another trade journey. And Abu Bakr's cousin gives them fresh white clothes and they change. And so now as they make their approach, there's a tract, a lava where an old volcano has erupted and there's a dried lava, hard piece of stone, and they make their way down the tract towards the city. And the people in Medina, you have to imagine, there's no WhatsApp, there's no email, there's no news, there's no CNN, there's nothing like that. All they have is tawakkul, and that's everything. They have no way of knowing where is the Prophet ﷺ. He can't tell them where he's up to. They're just waiting and making dua and waiting and searching the horizon every second of every day. Have you heard any news? Is he here? Has he arrived? No, the people are waiting. Until one day, around 12 days after Muhammad ﷺ has left Mecca, a blessed sight, and the cry goes up, Jar Rasul! Jar Rasul! The Prophet is here, the Prophet has arrived. And now the people, they throw down their tools. They're in their walled gardens and their orchards, tending to their palms, working in their beautiful gardens, cooking, doing all the work of the day. They leave it all. They snatch up their little children. They pick up their drums, and the women and the children and the men of Yathrib and Tayyibah rush and flow out into the streets. And as the sounds of the flat, round hooves of Qaswa, the camel, echo through the sand and echo through the earth, the people raise their hearts and they raise their spirits and they raise their voices and they began to sing. And they sing a song of such joy and such love, because finally, their full moon has returned to them. Let's stand up. البدر علينا من ثنيات الوداع وجب الشكر علينا مداعينا أيها المبعوث فينا جئت بالأمر مطاع جئت شرف المدينة مرحبا يا خير طلع البدر علينا من ثنيات الوداع وجب الشكر علينا اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله صلى الله عليه. Ya Allah, send your mercy and blessings upon your beloved Muhammad and his family. So this is the end of our stories. So I have a question to ask you before you go, but this is just a chance for you to ask any questions, any comments, anything that mums or dads want to add. I try my best, inshallah, but please forgive any shortcomings, anything you want to add. That is always wonderful to hear. Bismillah. How are you feeling? You feeling okay? Yeah. Any questions, any comments, anything you want to say? Yes, my friend.
I love these stories.
You love the stories, alhamdulillah. Yes, I love the stories too. And I think if we love these stories, and we know that when we send salam on the Prophet ﷺ, he returns our salam.
Yeah, I know, sir.
Yeah, and we know that when we send salawat on the Prophet ﷺ, Allah also, inshallah, we get the thawab as well. So it's good to love the stories about the Prophet ﷺ. Good.
My favorite.
Yeah.
You know when the river was splitting apart?
Yes.
Was it in a zigzag or a straight line?